Hello class. Today we are going to work with fiction and realistic fiction. So we're going to talk about what is realistic fiction compared to just fiction. So before we get started on realistic fiction, we need to talk about fiction. Fiction are stories. They're storybooks. We've read a ton of fictional stories in our class. We have read George's Marvelous Medicine, where he cooks up a medicine and serves it to his grandma. We've read My Father's Dragon, who has a knapsack full of items that he uses to get to a dragon. And we have read the Twits. We have Mr. Twit and Mrs. Twit, who had a long beard and her cane. And there we go. So we've read some fictional stories in class, but we've never really talked about what is fiction. So we're going to ask ourselves that question too. What is fiction? A fictional story is a story that is make-believe. So for example, George's Marvelous Medicine, My Father's Dragon, and the Twits are all make-believe stories. They're stories that couldn't really happen because they have some magic in them. So fiction stories usually have some kind of magic, and they are make-believe. So a good example of a make-believe story is they usually have some made-up characters. Like a witch is a made-up character. A princess, like Frozen, is a fictional story. It's make-believe. We don't really have princesses who have superpowers. It's a fun story, a really good story, but it is a make-believe story. Same with unicorns. Those are make-believe. And mermaids. All fictional characters. Harry Potter is another fictional story. We don't really have wizards and wands and big castles and magic. Those are all make-believe. They are amazing and wonderful stories and some of the best stories around. Fictions are some of your favorite stories, like The Twits was a good favorite. My Father's Dragon. Dragons are in fictional stories. Let me see if I can draw a dragon here. I'm going to draw his spikes, his head, some ears, a big belly, maybe some little wings, and a tail, maybe some claws like that. So, fiction is make-believe. It is usually have some sort of magic in it too for what is fiction. So for like George's Marvelous Medicine, we had a character, Grandma, who got really, really tall. Could this happen in real life? No, that could not happen in real life. Could not happen in real life. In My Father's Dragon, in the end, he flies away with his dragon. Could that happen in real life? No, that could not happen in real life. And in the Twits, they shrink down to become invisible. Could that happen in real life? No way. That could not happen in real life. So, fiction stories are some of our favorite stories, but they could not happen in real life. Which leads us to our question over here. What is realistic fiction? Well, realistic fiction are still make-believe stories. But instead of being about wizards or mermaids or unicorns or castles or dragons or, you know, the marvelous medicine. Realistic fiction is make-believe about people. So things that could happen in real life. For example, one of the realistic fictions we've read was How Smudge Came, where a girl lost her dog. She was a real-looking girl. Smudge was a real-looking dog. So realistic fiction is make-believe, but it's using real people that look kind of real. Do they have to be real people actually? No, they're not your mom or your dad or your grandma, like real people in your life. They're just real looking people. They're still make-believe. They're still made up, but they are real looking. For example, in a realistic fiction book, a dog would not talk and say hi. A dog would say woof, because that could really happen. In real life, that could really happen. They would not say hi. So you have to ask yourself, what is fiction? What is realistic fiction? Fiction is make-believe, things that can't happen in real life. Realistic fiction is still make-believe, but it could happen in real life. So you could really go to the beach and catch a fish. That could really happen. Did it happen? I don't know. You tell me. But could you really go to the beach, catch a fish, and find a mermaid? No, that would be a fiction story. That could not really happen. And realistic fiction has real places. We don't have Hogwarts. We don't have, the island of Cranberry from My Father's Dragon. They have real places. Like Adams is a real place. There we go. This is a real place. Or real looking. It has mountains. Mountains are real places. Oceans are real places. You can have a store. A store is a real place. A city is a real place. A person is a real person. It could be a girl. It could be a boy. They could all happen in real life, but it is still make-believe. That's the most important part. So I'm going to color it in right here. Still make-believe. They're both make-believe and make-believe over here. But realistic fiction means it's real. It could really happen. Fiction means it's more magical. So I'm going to give one last example before we go on. I have an example, a dog. Let's say I'll use a cat. In a realistic fiction book, the cat would say, it would say, meow. Because that's what cats say in real life. In a fiction book, if I had a cat, it's make-believe, the cat would say, hi, how are you? Could a cat really say, hi, how are you in real life? No, that could not happen. Could a cat really say meow in real life? Yes, that could happen. So realistic fiction means it's make-believe, but it could really happen. Fiction means it's make-believe, but it couldn't really happen, like a mermaid or a unicorn or a princess or a witch. All right, nice job. We are going to use these in our next lesson, so keep watching. Bye.